I used to play a game called Red Light, Green Light. How many of you remember that game? Okay, for those of you who maybe are not familiar with it, or if you've forgotten exactly how to play, the leader would stand in front of a group of kids, and the leader would then turn their back like this and say, green light. And when the leader's back was to you, you could move forward. And the goal was to try and be the first one to get up there and touch, tag the leader. But if the leader turned around quickly and said, red light, you had to stop. And you had to stop quick because if that leader saw you move, saw you stumble in any way, you had to go all the way back to the start line and start all over again. Well, there were some kids who were very cautious. When the light turned green, they would tiptoe slowly so that they might not get caught when the leader turned around. Or my strategy would be move a step, stand still. Move a step, stand still. And hope that I was doing the stand still part when the leader turned around so I wouldn't get caught. And then there were those classmates of mine who had a completely different strategy. As soon as the leader turned around and said green light, they would bolt as fast as they could to try and get as close as possible to the leader before they turned around again. And of course, they're taking a risk because, that leader could turn around at any moment, and if you're running really fast, you might not have time to stop. Or if you do stop, the momentum is probably going to keep you going forward, and you're going to fall or stumble or something, flail, and then you got to go all the way back to the beginning. Red light, green light. Which kid were you? Were you the tiptoer? Were you the one step at a timer? Or were you the bolter who took all the risks and charged towards that leader to be the first to tag him on the shoulder? How about when God says go? What do you do? What kind of a kid are you then? The times when God is clearly inviting you to join him in something that he's doing, or inviting you to try something new in your life, or calling you to serve somewhere that you haven't served before. Do you hesitate? Do you tiptoe? Do you charge ahead? Do you say yes and wait for further instruction? Or do you just say, I think I'll stay right where I am, and not go anywhere at all? Well, let's take a look at a time when the Israelites heard a very clear go from God, and they hesitated. Not only did they hesitate, they complained, they grumbled, and they rebelled. Let's take a look at Numbers 13 if you're following along in your Bible. Numbers 13, and we'll be in Numbers 14 a little bit as well. I'm just going to paraphrase part of this because it's a long passage. Think about this. The Israelites had been saved from slavery. They had been freed from captivity in Egypt. And God had taken them out into the wilderness. And they had traveled a long way, and now here they were on the edge of the promised land. They were here. It was almost time to go in. And so God told Moses to send a few people into the promised land just to explore a little bit before they all started taking over and going on in. So starting at verse 25, Moses had sent in 12 leaders, one from each tribe, to go check it out and see what it was like and come back and give a report. And starting at verse 25, when the 12 came back after being gone for 40 days, they told everyone what a wonderful place it was. It was flowing with milk and honey, meaning it was abundant with food and comfort and the things that they would need to survive. They even brought back fruit that they had gathered in the land. Just imagine that. That doesn't sound like a big deal to us because we get fruit every day, all the time. But these people had been eating manna. Okay? And that's like eating communion wafers every single day. Now, it might have been better than that because it was made by God and it was, just for them. But even the same thing, even my favorite thing every single day would get old. And trust me, they did get sick of it, and they complained about that too. every time. But so to have them bring back fruit, beautiful fruit, juicy, aromatic fruit, just imagine, can you just taste it? Here they are. This is from this new land that we're going to live in. Isn't that amazing? There's one problem, said the scout. The land is occupied by some really powerful-looking people. In fact, they were giants. There are giants in this land, really big people. And they're going to crush us like grasshoppers. So I don't think we should really go in there. And the people became nervous. And in verse 30, but Caleb said, let's go. What are you waiting for? Come on, let's go. Caleb was like all those kids that charged ahead when the light turned green. He wanted to run ahead as fast as he could to get to the finish line that God had given them. What waited for them in the promised land was worth any risk that they faced. And since they had God with them, surely they would prevail. But the people were so afraid. And we move on into Numbers 14, looking down at verse 2. The people were so afraid that they said, oh, if we had only died in Egypt. Or maybe even died in the wilderness. Really? Really? You have milk and honey and fruit and a beautiful land ahead of you, and you rather would have died in Egypt? Are you kidding me? Out of fear, they refused to move forward. Out of fear, they were willing to give up something really amazing, something really wonderful that God was giving them. What is it that keeps you from moving forward or going when God says go? Is it fear, like the Israelites had fear? Is it insecurity or lack of confidence? Is it worrying about failure or just fear of the unknown? All of those are reasons why we hesitate sometimes. Well, the Israelites were so afraid that they started thinking about killing Joshua and Caleb in order to keep from going into the promised land. And you know what? God became so angry that he wanted to wipe them out completely, down in verse 12. But Moses had a heart for these people, and he intervened. He pleaded with God on their behalf, and so God relented, and he agreed to forgive them, down in verse 20, if you're following along. But God had one caveat. I will forgive them, but none of them will go into the promised land that they have set before them. Everyone except Joshua and Caleb, who were eager to go, none of them would go in, and they would all wander the desert until that whole generation had died off. And their ancestors, their kids and their grandkids, the next generation, would be the ones who inherit the promised land. All because they refused to go when God called them to go. They missed out on receiving a tremendous blessing, the abundance of the promised land, their inheritance that God had for them. God passed them over and gave the privilege to someone else, the next generation, because they wouldn't go. So just like the Israelites, when we refuse to move, when God says go, we risk the same thing. We risk missing out on the marvelous things that God has waiting for us. Now, let's take a look at Joshua chapter 3. This is after the 40 years, if you want to flip to Joshua 3 and see what happened with the next generation. So the Israelites had wandered that whole 40 years, and that whole generation who had refused to go into Canaan, who had rebelled, had died off. Only Joshua and Caleb were left from that generation. Those people had refused God's clear direction, and they missed out. They didn't get to see firsthand God fulfilled his promise. But now it was finally time for the next generation to cross up the Jordan River and enter the promised land. So picking up in Joshua 3, it says, early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. After 3 days, the officers went through the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Don't go near it. So that's pretty clear direction. I don't know that I've ever gotten direction that clear from God before. It's usually a little more hazy than that. I get this sense that God is urging me to do something, but I don't get, follow this when, they not only had a very clear goal, but they had when and how and where to go. That's pretty clear. So with this clear green light, Joshua began to prepare the people to cross into the promised land. And picking up at verse 5, it says, Joshua told the people, consecrate yourselves, means purify yourselves. For tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. Joshua said to the priests, take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people. And so they did it. They took up the Ark and went ahead of them. And the Lord said to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I am with you, just as I was with Moses. And verse 8, he says, tell the priests to carry the Ark of the Covenant. When you reach the edge of the water, go and stand in the river. They must have been terrified. We have rivers here, and if you ever see what a river is like during the rainy season, how swift it is, how treacherous it can be, this is what the Jordan River was like at this point in the time of the year. It was at flood stage levels, and it was moving very swiftly. Now, God had given them a clear go, but he hadn't shown them a safe path yet. So what should the priests do? Should they stand there and wait? I see this river. If I step into that river, surely I'm going to get swept away. What do we do when God calls us to go and we don't see exactly how we're going to get where he has told us to go? We can see that God is wanting us to go to a certain place, but we don't know how to get there. Do we just stand there on the edge and wait? What did God tell the priests to do? Put your feet in the water. Go stand in the water. And that had to be just scary. And it's scary for us, too, to step into the water of something new when we don't know what we're stepping into. But they did as they were asked. They trusted God. They put their faith in God, and they stepped into that river. What if we did the same thing as the Israelites were instructed to do? What if we stepped into the running water before God showed us exactly what our journey was going to look like? Let's look at what happened to the Israelites when they did it. Verse 9, Joshua said to the Israelites, come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is how you will know that the living God is among you, and that he will certainly drive out before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, Perizzites, and so on. All of these people who threatened to harm them, that were so scary. This is how you will know. This is how you will know that the living God is with you. See the Ark of the Covenant, this is verse 11, of the Lord of all the earth will go into the Jordan ahead of you, and choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. And here's the key part, verse 30. As soon as the priests who carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth, as soon as they set foot in the Jordan River, the water flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in a heap behind them. after the priests put their feet into the water. The Lord would create a safe path for them to move after, not before. So if we're waiting for a clear and safe path to follow God before we say yes when He calls us to go, we could be waiting forever, because God may just be waiting for us to put our foot in the water. God will reveal His path to us after we put our feet in the water. Let's look down at verses 15 and 16. When the priest stepped into the river with the Ark of the Covenant, God indeed did stop the river, and they all walked across a dry riverbed safely to the other side. If they had refused to go like their ancestors had, not only would they have missed out on going into the promised land, they would have missed seeing a marvelous work of their powerful God. They wouldn't have seen God stop a river or dry up a riverbed and make a safe path for them to go. We miss out on seeing this powerful God work in mighty ways when we say no, we stand still when He asks us to go. So when we're presented with new opportunities to follow God or serve God, and we're just not sure if this is the perfect fit for us or the perfect opportunity for us to serve, we could put our feet in the water and test it out. See what God thinks next. See if God opens a dry riverbed for us. Or we could refuse to move because we're just not sure, or we just can't see where this is leading, or because we're afraid. But then we risk missing out on being a part of what God is doing. God's plan will go forward with or without us. Someone else will have the privilege of seeing God work in amazing ways if we say no. God fulfilled His promise to the Israelites without the generation who doubted Him and refused to follow. A whole different generation of people experienced God's lavish abundance in the promised land. And you know, Queen Esther, she faced a similar choice in her life as well. If you remember Queen Esther, her people were being threatened with genocide. They were all going to be slaughtered unless someone did something. And Esther's uncle Mordecai urged her to be the someone, to do something. He urged her to go to her husband, the king, and plead for her people. But you know, no one was allowed to have audience with the king unless he called them. If Esther went to him first, she was risking her life. He could have her put to death for that. Saying yes to God is not without its risk. But Esther was being called to go. What would she decide to do? Would she take the risk or do nothing because she was afraid? And listen to what her uncle Mordecai told her. In Esther 4:14, he said, "If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place." Do you get that? From another place. In other words, if you refuse to go, God will use someone else, not you. And he said, on top of it, you and all of your father's family will die if you don't go. Well, when I heard God say go to me, it wasn't so dangerous, or as approaching kings or crossing rivers or facing giants in a new land. It was a different kind of a risk. It was a personal risk. When I sensed God telling me to go to seminary, of course I was apprehensive. I heard God go loud and clear. But I was still nervous about going. I hadn't been in college or school for a lot of years. Could I really do this? Who was I fooling? Was I just fooling myself? Would I fail? Would I be able to handle the workload? I was really unsure of myself, but I trusted God. And so I decided to stick my toe in the water. I decided to take just one class. Just by myself and keep up with the coursework. But I put my feet in the water anyway. And God made a way for me to do it. Because I went when God said go, I have been able to see God work in some amazing ways. I've been able to witness God working in me and through me to serve other people. I've had the thrill of watching God change people's lives. I've had the privilege of being part of what God is doing in a way that I never would have if I had said no, if I would have stayed where I was instead of stepping into the river. In fact, I wouldn't be here to follow you if I had not said yes and gone. Now, sometimes God even changes our plans when he says go. We think we're going to go one way, and he says, no, go over here. You know, that happened to the Apostle Paul in Acts chapter 16, if you're following along. We think we know which way we want to go, but God has other plans. The Apostle Paul was planning on moving into Asia, or going back to Asia, and spreading the gospel, spreading the word of salvation in Jesus Christ. But God closed the door, he closed the way, and made it impossible for him to go. And one night, God gave Paul a vision of a man from Macedonia calling to him, saying, come to Macedonia. Come to Macedonia, we need the gospel here. He was pleading with Paul. This was a clear go. Go to Macedonia. This isn't what Paul had planned. But when Paul heard that, he changed his plan. And he went to Macedonia as God had given him instructions in that dream, in that vision. And you know what happened because Paul was willing? Macedonia was the gateway into Europe. When Paul crossed into Macedonia and started spreading the gospel began to spread like wildfire into all of Europe. What might have happened if Paul had said no? Maybe it would have been years before the gospel reached Europe. Or maybe, like with Esther, like with the Israelites, maybe God would have used someone else to get the gospel into Europe, if that was his plan. Because God's plan will go ahead with or without us. And just think of what Paul would have missed out on if he had not gone. I don't want to miss out on stuff like that, do you? So what opportunities do you have to follow God today? How is God calling you to go? It might not be big things like go on the mission field. It might be. Maybe God is calling you on the mission field, but your mission field might be right here. Maybe it's go to your neighbors. Maybe it's go across the street. Maybe you're being called to serve in a ministry that you've never served in before. You know, Rally Sunday is coming. The fall is coming, and fall program is going to be starting up. And you're going to have lots of new opportunities to serve. We're entering into a new period here at Cedar Church where we're going to be called in new directions and to try new things. Mordecai told Esther, who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. What if you have come to this time and place right here at Cedar Church, right here in Ham Lake, Minnesota? What if you have come to this time and this place for such a time as this? Maybe you are just the right person in the right place at the right time to make a difference where God is calling you to go, even if it's something that you're unfamiliar with. If you sense that God might be calling you, but you're just not sure, you're looking for that green light, take a chance like I did. Put your toe in the water. Give it a try. Try out something new and see how it works out. Sometimes we just need to trust and take the risk. And you know, if it's not the right direction for us and we didn't hear God quite right, God will redirect us. Look at what Paul did. Remember what Paul did? Paul was headed towards Asia. It wasn't the right direction. direction, God closed the door. And he rerouted and he said, no, go here. God will do that for us too. If we're not sure, if somebody asks us to serve in a particular area, and we're not sure, or we just see an opportunity and we think, I could probably do that, but I'm not sure if this is where God really wants me. Try it out. If God wants you somewhere else, he'll let you know, just like he let Paul know. But if it is where he wants you to go, when you step into the water, like I stepped into that classroom, it will become crystal clear that this is what you're meant to do and where you're meant to be for this period of time in history. So, step into the water when God calls you to go. You just might find yourself standing on dry land, following God into an amazing adventure that you would have missed if you